Hi, I thought I'd run you through how I make puffball trees here in Australia, because you can't buy the standard black fill in bulk here in Australia. You can order it from the States, but the freight is quite significant, and particularly now with the Aussie dollar when it fluctuates, it costs you a bit of money. So I thought I'd run you through a process that I've done in order to be able to make these nice little puffball trees. So we'll get started. Okay, step one is you go to the Spotlight and you buy a bag of this hobby fill, which is pretty good. It's about $10 a bag for half a kilo, and you get a fair amount. So I'll give you an idea of how big the bag is. So it's about half left. So I've already been through half a bag. So that's the stuff I get, and then, because as you can see, that's white, and it's no good. So for making trees. So what you need to do is to get this stuff, which is also from Spotlight. It's called iDye Poly, and you make sure you get the polyester one. So don't get the natural one, otherwise it won't stick. So you can get that black, brown, green. I've used brown, which works out pretty well, and this is my first run of black. So that's the dye you need. So you just follow the instructions and then you dye the hobby fill. And I'll show you that process now. Okay, so this is how I do it. So just on the barbecue, it's got a big pot, and there it is. So it takes about an hour and a half. So, and they say to get a good thing, you agitate it. So just boil it like that for about an hour and a half, and then you pull it out and dry it off. Okay, so when I take it out of the pot, and I haven't got any here now, but this is what I use. I just use a piece of fly screen on a bucket just to put it in to strain it off. Now I'll leave it in there for a little bit, use a bit of paper towel to get the moisture out of it. And then once I've got most of the water out, I can then tip that back in there into the pot for the next batch, and then I take it out the line. So apologies for the light, I really should have done this during the day, but this is how it comes out. So you can see it's nice and black. So, and then you've just got to hang it on the line for a few hours until it all dries out. Okay, so once it's dried out, then you take the big wad and you break it up and you roll it into little puff balls like this. I did this pretty quick, so these ones were still wet, so they'll sort of stay here and dry for probably a day or so, and then I'll go on to the next step. But you can see one of the brown ones that I've got there for comparison. So it'll be interesting to see how the black ones compare. So, alright. And then once they've all dried out, then you can move on to the next step. Hi, righto, on to the final stage of making the puffball trees. So a couple of things you'll need for the final trays. I've got a disposable paint tray, so that's where the trees, when they're completed, go. Just a little bowl here, which is where I'll put my blended turf. So I'm doing a US spring scene, spring-summer. So I'm using green blended turf here, which I'll put in a minute. Your glue, so I just use 50% white glue. You can use scenic cement. I make my own just out of normal white glue. This is just the overspray, somewhere to put the glue in. This is where I dunk the puffball trees. Paper towel just for immediate cleans up. So I've got a drop sheet here. You will need some gloves, because this is quite messy and you don't want to be using just your bare hands. And finally, a full tray of puffballs, all dyed and ready to go. So, alright, so we'll get going. So first of all, this is just some glue that I've had before that I will reuse. Just give it a bit of a... Don't worry about shaking it up or anything with bubbles in it, because once you start squeezing it out. So that is white glue, so that you notice that the dye does leach out of the white glue, which is why I use a separate container for it. put on the gloves, towels to one side. Now it has the potential to be quite a messy operation, but this keeps it about as neat as I can get it. So you just sprinkle your blended turf in there and shake it out. And this is, as the Americans say, it's like making dumplings. So you grab your first tree, you pop it in there, give it a good soak in the glue. Keep the glue reasonably close to your tray. This is where it starts to get a bit messy if you're not careful. So squeeze out the excess glue, and then I tease it back out a bit to sort of get a rough shape. And then just roll around in here. Get a good roll over. There you go, first tree done, and it is as simple as that. Grab your next one. A good squeeze out, tease out into a rough ball shape again. Now you'll notice that there's sort of folds and lumps and bumps. That is fine, because it actually makes the trees look a little bit more realistic. And then tease out, and then once you start rolling it around in here like the dumpling, it tends to round out a bit more as the flock jumps on it. I sort of bounce it around until I find where I think the top is. So I sort of work out where I want the top of the tree to be. As you can see there, quite like that. Pop that over there. The process goes reasonably quickly. I'm not going to bore you, I will do a couple, watch the process, and then because you get in sort of a rhythm. But I will not sit here and put you through the making of 40 odd puffball trees. Right, so that is pretty much the process. So I'll continue on now, and I'll make up 2 trays, which is actually probably all I need for the rest of this layout. Okay, so now final step for the puffball trees and putting them on the layout. So we've gone through the whole process. A little tray here full of puffball trees, section of the layout that they need to be going on. The things I use to affix them, I just use standard Selleys Aquadear white glue at full strength, and if you need them to pin them on, some Woodland Scenics foam nails, then just keep them into the spot if they need to. Alright, so we'll put these ones on the layout. So essentially, you grab a tree. Now they've been sitting there and drying, so there'll be a flat bottom to them on the ones that I do. So just get the white glue, and as simple as I just run a bit of a circle around, and I fix it to the layout. And if you're worried about it falling off, you just grab a T-pin and push it through to just hold it on like that, and that's it. So glue, I should just do random sizes. Just try and break up the row look as much as possible. It can be a little bit difficult to do without getting too crazy. And sometimes you get little patches like this where it doesn't match up. I usually just fill that up with some smaller bushes or something. So add the randomness a little bit. And there we go. That's how they go on. So I hope you found this video useful, and enjoy your modelling. See ya.